Welcome everyone again to another part of our Python tutorial, part 3. So welcome to Tech and Tech. So today, we are going to discuss everything about Python data types, numbers, and casting. If I just joined our channel, do not forget to subscribe, like, and as well share to others. You can as well put your comment too if you're having any question as we go on in today's video. So let's start now. So what is Python data types? We have built-in data types. In programming, data type is an important concept. So variables can store data of different types, and different types can do different things. So that is why we have Python data types, because those data types can do different things. And Python has following data types built in by default. So in this category, we have text type, which is the string. We have numeric type, which we have either integer, float, or complex. We have the sequence type, which is the list, tuple, and range. We have the mapping type, which is dictionary. We have set type, which is set and frozen set. We have boolean type, which is boolean. We have binary types, which is byte, byte array, and memory view. Take note of those. Now, how can we now get the data type? You can get the data type of any object by using the type function. Now, let's take for instance, print the data type of the variable x. So we have x equals to 5. So we are telling it print type x for me. What does that mean? What type of x do we have here? Remember earlier we talked about the various data type, and we said that when it is text type, it is string. But when it is numeric, which is like numbers, it can either be integer, float, or complex. So in this part now, we are asking it to tell us what type of data type this is, since this is numeric. So we say print type x. So the answer is trying to tell us that is in the class of integer, because integer is a whole number. Now, setting the data type. In Python, the data type is set when you assign a value to a variable. For instance, x equals to hello world. We assign a value to this variable x, which is hello world. So because it is a text and is having this double quote, it is a data type of string. X, which is 20, a whole number, it is an integer. Now it's having a decimal point, it is float. Then it's having a complex like ij, it is what? A complex. Then when we have something like this, it is known as list. Apple, banana, cherry. It's having this type of bracket. This curly bracket is list. Now we have this number bracket, it is tuple. Then when we have range of something, range of a number, it is known as range. Then we have this curly bracket like that is having a hook here. Name, we now listed it, it is dictionary. Then we also have this other couple brackets, it is not having a column, it is just comma all through, it is set. Then we also have frozen sets. Remember we talked about it earlier, and have a bracket for a curly bracket, it is frozen set. And whenever I talk about x is true or false, it is boolean. Then when we have x is b hello, it is byte. Then when we have x is equal to byte array, it is byte array. X equals to memory view bytes, it is memory view, and x equals to none, it is a non type. So these are all the data type we can set for our variables. So setting the specific data type now. Remember earlier that we talked about setting data type. We are not that specific, but we are writing them to tell us, to indicate type of data type it is. Now we want to be specific. If you want to specify the data type, you can use the following constructor function. We have s equals to, this is string bracket hello world. So you are being specific here. Integer bracket 20 float. So all these first statements telling us the type of data type you are writing in front. Now, we want to start the Python numbers. We are done with data type, which I would like you to take note of each one of them. I want you to write them one after the other in your, I want you to write them one after the other in your notebook. It is essential for you to learn those data types so that when you are using them, you will not get confused. You know which is for which. So we'll be starting Python numbers now. There are three numeric types in Python. The first one is the int, which is integer. The next one is the float, and the last is complex. So variables of numeric types are created when you assign a value to them. Example, s equals to 1 is an integer, y equals to 2.8 is our float because having decimal points, and z equals to 1j is complex. So to verify the type of any object in Python, we have to use the type because we want to verify the type of object it is. So we have to use our type function. Like for instance, now print type x, we are saying you should print this type x, print type y, print type z. So I'm telling you, okay, what type are these? Now the answer is the first one of print type x is class integer. This is integer. The second one class float. It's trying to tell me what type of class they are. And the last one class complex. So if you don't remember or understand type of data type it is, you can indicate it and say print type x, like it will indicate to you the type of class they are. Now let's start with integer now. Int or integer is a whole number and it can either be positive or negative without decimal. Take note, if it's having decimal point, it is no longer an integer. Without decimals of unlimited length, it can be any length as long as it does not have points. So it can either be positive or negative. Like you can see this example here. So these are examples of integers. Does not have points. It can be negative or positive or just a whole number with no negative sign. So here we say print the type of x that it is, print the type of y this is, and print type of z this is. So here it's trying to tell me now this is a class of integer, and integer because they are all examples of what? Integer. Now let's take another one which is float. Float or floating point number is a number either positive or negative, but it must contain one or more decimals. As you can see example here of float, having decimal here, decimal here, decimal here. So it must have decimal points and it can either be negative or positive. So if you say print type of x for me, y or z for me, it will tell me that everything is float because they are all examples of float. And the next one we are going to talk about is, but before that, let's see, it says floats can also be scientific. Sorry. Floats can also be scientific numbers with an e to indicate the power of 10. So as long as this e is means exponential, and most exponential have decimal points in it, like raised to power of 10 raised to power or something. So if you want to convert it back to the normal number, it will give you points, 0 point something. So that is why they're also example of floats. So it can have exponential in it. So even though you say print type of x for me or y, since it's having e or exponential, it all points for you that they are example of floats. So take note of that for floats. And the last one we'll talk about is complex. Now complex numbers are written with a j as the imaginary part. Now like 3 plus 5j, like you can see that those j here are alphabet numbers. So that's why they are complex. So it can either be positive or negative. So if you now ask it to print the type of x, y, and z, it all tell you that they are all complex examples of data types. So now we'll move to another part, which is type of conversion. How do we do that? You can convert from one type to another with the integer, float, complex method. Now let's take example. We want to convert from one type to another. The first one, we want to convert from integer to float. The second one, we want to convert float to integer. And the last one, we want to convert from integer to complex. Then that is how we write. Yeah, we want to convert from integer to float. Remember this one here is just an integer. So we say float bracket 1. So it should convert this one for us to float. Then this number here is an example of float. So I say convert it to integer for us back. So that's why I wrote it here. And this one here is an example of integer. We are saying convert back to complex for me. So I'm now asking it that, okay, print, after you convert, print x, print y, print z. Then also print the type of x for me, the type of y for me, type of z. So this we are going to do this example on our PyCharm. So here's my PyCharm, the one we've worked with earlier. So I'm going to create another file that will be talking about conversion. So let me create a new file here. New. So let me say on Python. So let me say conversion. Convert. Let me just convert and click enter. So It's going to create a new file for me. So as you can see, this is a new file. So let me go to my notepad now. Okay, add link it. Okay, here's my notepad now. So I have the code already because of time. So I'll just copy, control copy and paste. So I'm going to paste now, control paste. That's control V. So I'm going to click on my play. I will click on play, but here is main. So I'll not click on play because it will only be playing my main for me. So since I've changed the convert.py, I'll click on the arrow of main and go to current file. Like I'm trying to tell you that okay, it is the current file I'm working on that it should play for me. So I'll click on play now. So yeah, these are the answers. Now let's go and see what we asked you to do one after the other. The first one I say should convert my integer to float. Remember, it just one is my integer, so I say convert it to float here. So this is float, it's always having decimal points. The second one, 2.8, I say okay, convert this float back to integer for me. As you can see, it gave me 2. Now convert this integer 1 here to complex for me. So it gave me 1 plus 0j. Then I now ask it, okay, print what x is, y and z. Print the answer for me. So it printed x, y and z answer for me, as you can see here. Then the next one I said, okay, print the type of what is x for me, what is y, what is z. Print the type for me. So the first one answer here is what? Float. So it told me that it's in the class of float. The second one answer here is 2, which is integer. So it's in the class of integer. And the last answer here, complex, class of complex. So you can do conversion for it, like convert from float to integer, integer to float, complex to integer, and stuff like that. By telling it what to do, it will convert it automatically for you. So now let's continue. But take note of something. You cannot convert complex numbers into another number type. Now let's go back to understand that. You cannot convert complex number. Like I already have a complex number, then I ask the area convert it back for me to another part. Maybe I have complex number of 1 plus 0j now. So I say convert it to integer for me. Sorry. Then I now click. And this is already showing me error. So yeah, I'm saying okay, convert this complex number to integer for me. So let's click play and see what it will display. Can you see that it's giving us error? Thank you. Because it's not possible for you to convert complex number to any other part. But you can convert integer number to a complex number. Or you can convert a float number to a complex number. But you cannot convert complex number to any other one, either to float or integer. So that is the note you have to take note of. So the next one is random number. Python does not have a random function to make a random number, but Python has a built-in module called random that can be used to make random numbers. So example now, import the random module and display a random number between 1 and 9. So we want it to display a random number for between 1 and 9. So how will we do that? So you have to, for you to achieve that, you import random. Then tell it print random.rand range 1, 10. So it is important for you to first do this. You import your random first because Python does not have random function. So for you to achieve this random, you have to import your random. So let's go now to our PyCharm. That's what we're going to do now next. So let me go to my notepad. So let's copy this and paste. So I tell you to import random first for me. So let's see if it will work. So can you see that my answer is what? 1. So I told you to import random from me. Then rand range 1, 10. It's still loading. That has not finished loading. Okay, that's finished. So going back to it here, we said import the random module and display a random number between 1 and 9. It's not 1 to 9. So it should display a random number between 1 and 9. So it display what 1 for me, because if you do not include this import random, it will not work. So let me click on play and let's see what will happen. Can you see error now? So you have to import your random first before it will work. Can you see? So I'm telling you to, okay, give me a random number between 1 and 10. So if you clicking play, it will give you a random number. You'll be guessing. But the number will not be more than what? It will be in the range of between 1 to 9. Do you get? So can you see that it's changing? As I'm clicking play, it's changing. It's giving me 3. Let me click play again. Let's say another one, it gave me 7. It's giving me a random number. Click play again. Gave me 2. Click play again. 5. So this can be used probably in a setting whereby numbers are to be generated, random numbers are to be generated for a particular code to be used for either a particular website. So they can use something like this to display a particular random number. You can give it a limit of number it can display to, maybe a random number of 50, between 50 to let's say, okay, let's change this now. Should give display a random number between, let's say, 12 to 50. So it's not giving number more than that. So it's going to be displaying any number between 12 and 50 for me. Any number between 12 and 50. So if it's a 4-unit code you want number, so I can just say display number between 12 and 1 to 50, let's say 6, 7. So it will display random number for me, so that when the user comes there, it's giving them random code between this range of number. As you can see, as I'm clicking play, the numbers are changing. I'll click play again. Can you see? It's changed as well. Let me click play again. It's giving me a random number. So that is important of using your random. But you must, before you use it, you have to import random, because Python does not have a random function to make a random number. Now let's now go to the next part, which is what? Python casting. If you are enjoying our video, please do not forget to like, subscribe if you are just joining us, and as well share with others. Comment if you have any questions. We're there to assist you. Now, to specify a variable type, there may be times when you want to specify a type on a variable, and this can be done with casting, because Python is an object-oriented language, and as such, it uses classes to define data types, including its primitive types. So casting in Python is therefore done using constructor functions. And in it, we have integer, float, and string. For integer, we construct an integer number from an integer literal, a float literal by removing all decimals, or a string literal by providing the string represents a whole number. So take note, for integer, we construct an integer number from an integer literal, and for a float literal, we do that by removing all the decimals, and for string, we provide string represents a whole number. Now, in the part of floats, we construct a float number from an integer literal, while a float literal or a string literal, it provides a string represents a float or an integer. And for string, we construct a string from a wide variety of data types, including strings, integer literal, and float literal. This you may not understand probably, but don't worry, we are going to see examples that we'll do on our PyCharm. Now let's take example for integer. We have x equals to integer 1, y integer 2.8, z. So we told it to print x, y, and z for us. What does this mean? So we're going to our PyCharm now. So I'll go to my notepad. Because of time, yes, I want the video to be short as possible. So I have to put the code down instead of typing one after the other. So I've copied, I'm going to paste now. So let's play and see the results. So let me scroll now. Now, we have x equals to 1 integer. So it's trying to tell you that, okay, all these numbers in the brackets, no matter what number they are, convert them back for me to integer. Can you see integer first? Convert all of them back to integer. So once already integer, give me the answer back. 2.8 is float, so it's converted back to integer form by giving me 2. Why this 3? Because of this inverted double quote there, is representing to be string, so it's converted back to integer form by writing 3 for me. So I'm telling it now, print X, print Y, print Z. So it's printed the three values for me. So you can convert. Now let's go to the next part now. We converted them all to integer. Now in the case of float as well, no matter the number given to me, oh yeah, convert them back into float for me. So we're taking the second example, going back to our pie chart now. Take the second example in case of floats. I'm going to copy now and paste. So let's copy and paste. Yeah. So I'm going to click on play and let's see the results. Now the first one here, I see this one, convert it to float for me. Remember float as decimal points. Now this 2.8 convert it to float, so it's already in float, so it gave me float back. This 3 is converted back to float from 3.0. Why W 4.2? It gave me back 4.2 because I'm already in float. So I told you to print each of the answers for me, and this is it. Now in the case of the last one, which is complex, sorry, which is string. So we have s equals to string. Now we are telling it, okay, all this change it back to string for me. Now what are we achieving for all this? Remember here we talk about Python casting. Says there may be times when you want to specify a type onto a variable, and this can be done by doing Python casting, because Python is an object-oriented language, and as such it uses classes to define data types. And under that primitive types, we have casting in Python, which is therefore done using constructor functions. So under the integer, we can convert them back to string. So we have the three types here, either converting back to integer, float, and string. So for the string part now is what we want to do, which is the next. I'm done for integer and float. Now for string. So we'll go to our PyCharm now. Then we'll copy the code for string. Ctrl C. So we are trying to tell it that, okay, this code here, I want to convert whatever they are back to string. So string here, this is S1 to 3.1. So let's play and see the result is going to give us. So it's convert all this back to string for us. S1, it gave me S1 back, 2 gave me 2 back, Y 3.0 gave me 3.0 back. So these are all examples of string which is converted. So they are all string and it gave me back the answer to the string. Don't worry, as we go on, we are going to understand how to use all these one after the other because they are very, very simple. But for today, this is where we are going to stop. So the assignment for this video is I would like you to practice all we've discussed on this video today. Because next time we are going to discuss all about Python strings. I'm sure the little we do, you don't really understand it. Yes. So if you want to understand better on the one we just discussed now, I would like you to stay tuned for the next video, which will be coming up, where we discuss everything you need to know about Python string. So thank you so much for watching. If you are just joining us, do not forget to subscribe. Like this video, please. It takes you nothing. We really appreciate if you do that. And as well, comment if you have any questions. So thank you and see you in the next video. Bye.